Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, aka The Whip Show. And right now, you are railing with the World Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Joe Walker. I've started watching the web series Cold as Balls. It's Kevin Hart's web series where he interviews different celebrities and notable people while they're sitting in a tub of ice water. It's funny. You get some good dialogue in there. You learn some things about the people he's interviewing that you may not have known before. I think Kevin Hart does a great job with those interviews. He keeps it light. I mean, he's got his crew, his handlers, his assistants, and they get involved, and it keeps it light, but it's educational. Because again, you learn some things in there in between the laughs that you may not have known about the people he's interviewing. And it got me thinking about Kevin Hart again. I know I mentioned him in a previous episode. It got me thinking about Kevin Hart being involved in professional wrestling. Now, the episode that really sparked me to think about this further, I watched the episode with Sasha Banks. Sasha's great. She's got charisma. She speaks elegantly, especially when talking about her family and how she got into professional wrestling and where she is now, working her way up to becoming the star that she is. You know, Kevin is great at playing off of anybody that talks well of themselves, and he finds a way to stroke his own ego comedically in the process. And it's just great. It's a fun show to watch. But I started thinking about Kevin more being involved with professional wrestling. And he's a great talker. I started to imagine Kevin Hart as an advocate or a manager or an advisor to a professional wrestler. Someone who could use or who could benefit from a mouthpiece like him. Him and Sasha Banks will work well together. They showed me that on that episode. Everything that's going on with Sasha right now, you know, we're kind of waiting to see how it's going to play out. Will she return to WWE or not? That remains to be seen. And if she does, you know, how do they bring her back after what's happened? I think the animosity is real and earned. She'll need a fresh start. So imagine her coming back to television where she's so disgruntled that she doesn't want to say anything. But she has somebody to talk for her. And that person is Kevin Hart. How great would that be? You know? It would be fantastic. It would be funny. Who knows what Kevin Hart is going to say anytime you see him on television. And coming off the cuff, he's one of the best. He's fantastic. And in professional wrestling, he could be that Bobby Heenan type of person that we're missing. Bobby Heenan, God rest his soul. I loved him in Gorilla Monsoon. You know, that speaks to my childhood. And I look across the landscape of professional wrestling and who's out there like that now? You hear Jericho on commentary. He's obnoxious. You hear those voices on commentary now in various places and promotions. You have that one person that's the comedic foil, the comedic heel on the microphone, or he's the more negative of the two. He's the one, he or she is the one that has not something positive to say or complimentary to say about one of the competitors in the ring. Bobby Heenan did that so well. And again, I think we're missing that Heenan type person in professional wrestling. We could use someone like that again now. And I think that Kevin Hart could be that person. Would Kevin Hart be interested? I don't know. But anyway, not to stray. So I started thinking about that dynamic, Kevin and somebody. I started just kind of looking across the landscape of all the top promotions right now. And he would have to be on a top promotion, so it would have to be WWE or All Elite Wrestling. I can't see him in MLW. I can't see him in New Japan. I can't see him on Impact. I can't see him in the NWA. I think it would be cool to see Kevin Hart show up in NWA. I would like to see Kevin maybe paired with Mickie James and to have Mickie James go after Camille. And I just think that would be fun to see Kevin berating Camille and then Camille coming after him and being terrified. I think that would be funny. It would be cool. And it would add a layer of fun to a feud between the two of them for the world title. I think it would be great. But AEW, WWE. Looking down the road, fans, media are making this assumption that Roman Reigns is going to eventually clash with The Rock for the title at WrestleMania. The Rock and Kevin Hart have history. Roman has Paul Heyman. Now imagine if The Rock came back and he came back not just as the people's champion. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, he comes back more of who we know now as the Hollywood persona of Dwayne Johnson. The glamour, the glitz, the star power of who we know The Rock to be now. And he returned to WWE with Kevin Hart by his side. And Kevin Hart is his mouthpiece. The Rock, one of the greatest talkers to ever grab a microphone. Does he need Kevin Hart to talk for him? No, he does not. But just imagine how they could play that up if The Rock had Kevin Hart talking for him and the back and forth between Paul and Kevin. It would be fantastic. I mean, I'm laughing about it already, and it hasn't happened. It's not even real. It's fantasy. But what a fantasy it is. That would be fun to see that happen. And then over on the AEW side, I don't know if many of you would agree. And let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter at Mr. Joe Walker. I think Powerhouse Will Hobbs, he would have to go after the world title, whoever has that title at the time. But he's big. He's gruesome looking. He looks like he's going to hurt somebody. The sneer he has, that look. And just imagine Kevin Hart playing off of that. Now, he's representing him, so they could still have that back and forth between one another. But Kevin Hart speaking up for him against whomever his opponent may be. And also the two of them going back and forth at each other. I just think it would be an interesting dynamic. I see Will Hobbs as a future world champion. But imagine the type of boost he would get from being with Kevin Hart on AEW Dynamite week to week or a couple weeks out of the month or however often they could get Kevin Hart to be with him. I think it would be fun, and it would be a way to propel yet another professional wrestler from All Elite, from AEW, into pop culture. He's got the look. He's very well spoken. Like, he's one of those guys that you see him and they portray him as the tough guy, the barbaric guy, the stoic strong man. But when he talks, he gets your attention because he has a lot to say and he says it well. Does he need someone to talk for him? No, of course he doesn't. And besides, he's rolling with Taz. He's got Taz, another great mouthpiece, another great talker. But putting him with somebody like Kevin Hart, again, the Bobby Heenan aspect of it, it would take him to an entirely new level. I also think that I would like to see more of these professional wrestlers appear on Cold as Balls. It's an opportunity for them to display more of their personality than just their professional wrestling personas. The episode with Sasha was good. Undertaker was on there. It was good. But Undertaker is a megastar in and out the ring. Kevin definitely has love for professional wrestling. So why not get more of them on the show? Like right now, I wouldn't mind seeing Samoa Joe on the show. Samoa Joe's great. Wouldn't mind seeing CM Punk on the show. Dr. Britt Baker. Dr. Britt Baker would be great on the show. Nikita Lyons. She would be great on that show. And there's others. But off that show. I would like to see Kevin Hart more involved in professional wrestling. It's just a thought that I have after watching the show, watching how he banters. And again, I so much miss Bobby the Brain Heenan and a personality like him in professional wrestling. Kevin Hart could be that person. Whether it happens or not, the likelihood is probably low, right? We can all agree to that. Likelihood is probably low. He's a busy guy. But he's also creative, and he's not afraid to take risks. Maybe we could spark a campaign. Maybe, if we all talk about it enough, it would pique his interest. Or someone will come to him from one of those promotions, having heard the uproar, and they start the conversation. And it leads to something. Thank you for listening to Railing with the Word Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Joe Walker, on the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, aka The Whip Show. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and support the platform wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow The Whip Show podcast on all social media, and follow me on Twitter at Mr. Joe Walker. No excuses. Championships only. Be kind, be creative, win.